Well, welcome back, y'all.
Hi. Hi,
Delora,
Ashley.
how are you, my love?
Oh, girl, glad I'm still here. Glad we still have a country. How about you?
Okay. All right. Same, maintaining, doing my best, waiting to see what may happen. So how are you feeling going into this MLK weekend?
Well, that's an excellent question. I have no idea. I mean, after the events of last week and the aftermath and everything like that,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get to January 21st. You know what I mean?
Amen.
Hallelujah. You will be proud of me to know that I was scheduling a dentist appointment and they offered that date. And I was like, no, I'm not available on that day.
I will not be going into anyone's office. Thank you so much.
No, ma'am. I'm Black. Didn't know if you knew that.
If you didn't know, now you know.
Now you know.
I love it.
How about you, Ashley?
I mean, I feel like I'm on the same page with you. I keep having conversations like, let me go ahead and stock up on some groceries. Let me go ahead and make sure that I can just stay in my house for a few days.
Fill up that gas tank.
And I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but guys, I live in Florida. So, some ish goes down in Florida. So I am planning to, do what I need to do, stay in and hope that everything goes as smoothly as possible. But I don't hold out too much hope on that given the events of the past however many months. So I'm with you. I'm just trying to maintain and live and look forward to moving through these series of events. I will say that. But I always have you in this podcast to look forward to.
Yes, ma'am.
On that note, guys, welcome back to Recapping with
Delora
and Ashley. We have some hot topics for you guys to start the show.
Mm-hmm.
So, Delora, hot topic numero uno. In an article on USA Today, mimicked my thoughts. We could hear hearts around the world shatter when People's Sexiest Man Alive, Michael B. Jordan, as you called him,
always,
and Lori Harvey made their relationship IG official over the weekend. This is the first time that Michael B. Jordan has officially claimed someone publicly.
On his profile, yes.
On his profile, let me be clear, he has been rumored to be dating people, but he has never confirmed any relationship.
Girl, he showed up in that girl's music video.
Okay, but we don't need to talk about all that. That was not a confirmation. We have pictures, we have nicknames.
Girl,
this is a real
birthday full of roses and everything.
Listen, coming behind to blow out the candles. We'll get to all that, guys. Let me give you a couple more deets real quick. So, rumors about this couple had been going around since Thanksgiving. Delora, I remember you sending me the picture of them being photographed together in Atlanta. So Michael,
rainy pictures at the airport.
A little grainy, still very recognizable. We know who y'all are, okay? Y'all are famous. So Michael B. Jordan is 33, by the way, and Lori just turned 24. And they, on their pictures, have been posting like, them together. It looks like they were possibly somewhere where there was like snow and they took some trips. And then recently when she turned 24, again.
Recently,
Michael,
like yesterday?
Like yesterday. I don't want to throw out times because I feel like sometimes I'm not accurate. So I just be within the last week. Yes. I'm just trying to be clear because it's been a day. So as I looked at these pictures and, different things they've been posting, there's been nicknames coming up. Apparently his nickname for her is Turtle. She called him Nugget. Apparently has been spending some time with the family, all the things.
Yes.
So, Delora, we have had a conversation off mic in our group chat with our friend Shamika.
Hey, girl.
But for the sake of the podcast, give me your thoughts on this coupling.
Girl. I was not surprised, but surprised at the same damn time, frankly, because of course, Lori Harvey, I just made her name one.
Larvey.
Of course, Lori Harvey can bag Michael Bay. Of course she can, because her roster is deep. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You see, I didn't list it because I wanted you to do it. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
My girl Jessica Wu was like, she's Thanos. She just got the last Infinity Stone. She got the sexiest man alive in his sexiest year right now. Okay.
Ooh, Lord Jesus.
But the fact that her bench has included both father and son,
mm-hmm.
and the biggest rakes of music.
Bridgerton reference, the rakes though.
I'm referring to Trey Songz and Future. The fact that she is also bad enough to have all these rakes claim her when she's with them is a whole nother thing on top of that.
And getting their feelings,
girl,
publicly when she has been seen with other men. Because let's be clear, there was a point in time where she was photographed with Trey Songz, and both Future and Lil Justin hopped into them comments.
Sure did. Sure did. I'm not gonna lie, I was sweating when she was with Future though. I was like, don't get pregnant. Don't get pregnant.
Exactly.
But I'm like, I know her mama taught her better than that. But she was with Future a lot longer than I actually thought she would have been. She was with him during one of her birthdays. He paid for her
last
getaway
year, honey,
with her girlfriends. So the fact that she's getting these high profile birthdays every year, girl. And she was engaged. No, she was engaged to a soccer player. She was engaged to a
soccer player, Memphis Depay.
And so for her to be only 24, I'm like, so she got engaged at like 2021 or something.
I think she was 20. Yeah, I believe she was 20. And then
when she broke it off, it was like she got another lease on life, because her dating life is something of legend. Okay.
In her young age, and she also has a squad, you know, as far as who her friends are in the industry, right?
Ryan
so obviously Tiana Taylor, I mean,
Normani.
She has a full squad. So for those who are unfamiliar, obviously most people know who Michael B. Jordan is, but Lori is the stepdaughter of Steve Harvey. And his current wife, Marjorie, is her mother. Lori is a IG model. She's also modeled officially, like on runway shows, I believe, for like Dolce & Gabbana.
She used to be an equestrian.
She used to be doing equestrian?
Yes, she rode horses.
Oh, okay.
Very rich. Very rich.
Had no idea. Okay, good for you, girl. So that's just a little bit of background on her for anybody who was unfamiliar, but Lori has definitely been an it girl for a while. Meek Mill dropped a reference in the show about having her on his wish list. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So she has
and Lori was in Normani's video, Motivation.
Yeah. I mean, she's been in a couple of things, I want to say.
And the father-son duo I'm referring to is Diddy.
Yes.
And his son Justin.
Yes. Not to be messy, but that was real messy.
And I'm not trying to shame her or anything like that, but I guess my question is, what's the end goal here? Okay, because
clearly Michael B. Jordan. Okay, clearly.
Because here's the deal: when she was with Diddy, to me, I was like, okay, that's a good one. Especially he likes young girls, he has money. You know, and then she broke it off and went to Future. I was like, ma'am, what are we doing here?
I definitely did not want to see her end up with Future, but I also was not expecting this pairing with Michael B. Jordan.
Not at all.
I said in our group messaging, guys, when you hear the roster that Lori has had, first of all, I have never hated, nor will I ever hate. I was laughing at a lot of these situations, and I was like, Lori is a savage out here, and I'm here for it. I was here for it. But
singing Rihanna Needed Me like every day, like
savagery, pure savagery. But I was anticipating when Michael went public for the first time with a serious relationship that it may be like the relationship. And not to say the Lori may not be, but I saw him on the level of like Denzel marriage and Barack and Michelle relationship goals.
You mean like a girl who hasn't been with anyone else in the industry type of thing?
Not even that, but someone whose career path is different and they're it's just I don't want to say as if like she's not doing her thing career-wise for what she wants to do.
She's a socialite.
Yeah, but
I think that's another thing that's fascinating about her, because she's Black America's socialite. Like, she's out here the same way Gwyneth was back in the 90s, okay? Gwyneth has a roster too. She knocked down Brad, Ben, she got the Rockers, like, and Gwen was savage, okay? I feel like Lori is living rich girl's life, you know what I mean? It's just, we don't get them fully Black all the time, you know what I mean? So we are always in the business.
We're unaccustomed to this level of privilege, right? Where we can be like, oh yeah, I can be an IG model and date all of these rich men as well.
And I have no idea what she sounds like. I don't think I've ever heard her talk.
So if you go to Michael B. Jordan's Instagram and see one of his latest posts, you'll hear her in their little video together. You'll hear her speak. So enjoy. But I, again, just no shade, really thought that the type of woman he chose was going to be different. But I hope, obviously, for the best for their relationship, and that this works out for them, and that this may be a substantial thing for both he and Lori. I was reading further in this article I had referenced, and I guess when Lori first came of age to start dating, her mother was like, I know you just started dating this year, so how are we going to handle that? No athletes, no rappers. We going to go down the list. Clearly, that did not work out fully. But she told her mother at the time, when it comes to dating, my mom has nothing to worry about. I got this. Lori, clearly, we all know and have no doubt, boo, that you got this. Okay? So
bravo, lady.
That's all I have. That's all I have. Write a book, as I've seen all the ladies in social media say, because you out here doing your thing.
Because she ends up on top every time.
All right, so that was our first hot topic, guys. Our second hot topic, Sex and the City, after years of speculation, has confirmed a revival, Delora, coming to HBO Max sometime in the future. Because you know what, Rona, you don't know. New show is going to be titled And Just Like That. It will bring back stars Sarah Jessica Parker, Cynthia Nixon, and Kristen Davis. Kim Cattrall, who plays Samantha, is not returning, who has had a very public feud with Sarah Jessica Parker and has been saying for years, I'm done, I'm through. The series will consist of 10 half-hour episodes and is set to begin production in New York in late spring. They have been talking a while about, oh, maybe we'll replace Samantha with somebody else, but it sounds like at this point in time, they don't plan on replacing her. They just plan on moving forward with the trio. And then I guess whatever the storyline will be will make sense to everybody. But what were your thoughts about this? Because the characters will now be in their 50s. I've heard talk about, oh, are people still going to be interested in seeing them, especially in the dynamic that they've always had, talking about sex and relationships and all these things, navigating that in their 50s. Are you excited for this? Do you feel like that's ageism that people are even asking this question? How do you feel?
Well, I do think it's ageist. I mean, it took Whoopi on The View to say, you know, our girls from the Golden Girls were knocking them down.
One of my favorite shows.
Miami in the late 80s, early 90s. So,
she listed all they numbers
their
out
numbers
there.
too, right? So
Blanche
I feel
slept
like
with this many men.
That was a strong argument that made me really look at this conversation differently. I honestly don't want another reboot. And I say this to say, after that second movie, I was like, I don't trust anybody with this material. And let's keep it 100. The show isn't aging very well. Like in today's standards, the lack of diversity is glaring. Okay. Yeah. And it's just very exclusionary, which is the opposite of where we are as a society. I just feel like why? But you know, they're getting paid. So I just hope that they have some really good writers and some really good ideas. There have been successful reboots, and I think it took the success of these reboots, i.e. Cobra Kai,
Yes.
Fuller House. You know, I can give several other examples, and they saw those successes and was like, hey, it's a thing. Let's do it. I feel like they're more on the end, because also think about it. Friends agreed to a reboot before Sex and the City. So
yeah,
I'm sure
that one I'm not excited about at all, though. Sorry if you're a Friends fan. I have never been. But to your point, I mean, the original series on HBO ran from 1998 until 2004. The first movie dropped in 2008. The second movie dropped in 2010. So if we're talking about this possibly coming out in 2022, that'll be 12 years since the second movie that we're coming back into. But I can say when I saw this, I am still excited.
Okay.
Because I love Sex in the City. Like,
who are you, Ashley?
Am I Miranda? So I definitely have always felt like I'm a combination of all of the ladies. I don't feel like I strongly resemble anyone in particular. It's not though. I would have once said I'm probably more of a Miranda. And then I was like, but I'm not that pessimistic. And I'm also not that, I don't know. Miranda just has her moments where I'm like, nah, but we ain't annoying. We ain't the same. So there's elements, I feel like, and a lot of women probably feel that way. There's elements of us probably reflected in each of those characters. And I am excited to see, because of the criticism that they've had, what they're really going to be able to do, bringing this show now relevancy into the future and refreshing that brand and refreshing that image. And I always have enjoyed watching Sarah Jessica Parker on screen, even in her multiple things she's done ever since. Not necessarily film as much as television, like Divorce that aired on HBO. I enjoyed.
You did. I didn't get into it. I couldn't get into it. I guess I should say that.
I did. So I'm curious. I'm definitely excited. I will be watching. I will be waiting to see what they do with it. Curious, especially with the No Samantha, because I read somebody say that's like bringing back Destiny's Child without Beyonce. I wouldn't give you that. I wouldn't put it that strongly.
Samantha wasn't everything, but I learned the most from her, if that makes any sense.
She was still a pivotal part of the group. There's absolutely no doubt about that. There will be a void that you will feel as audience, especially if
she
you
even
watch
said
all the
that
seasons.
Maybe there could be a possibility of filling her spot with a woman of color or what have you. So, and
again, they had talked about that, but in recent
you gotta be careful though, because you don't want
a
black woman in that spot to be the quote unquote Jezebel. You know, we're either mammies or Jezebels, and we don't want either.
Or either also just having to live in that shadow, like that character is already so well established.
Very true.
That you're coming in and trying to fill some void, and then are going to get possibly even more criticism. So,
but I'm going to say two more things. So it reminds me of when they included Jennifer Hudson to the cast for the second movie.
Yep. The first movie.
Or the first movie, thank you. Mm-hmm. And it was like, you all missed the mark. We wanted a woman of color to be in the group, not to be Carrie's assistant who likes the St. Louis movie or whatever.
and rental purses. Yes.
Yes.
It was, again.
Yeah, we want somebody on par. We want a real life, what's her name? The new addition to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Garcelle. We want a real life Garcelle in the mix of New York life and living in lavish and luxury and all those things. So
yeah, I will be, as I said, curious to see what they do. They're definitely going to have to bring it into the now. They're definitely going to have to give a more real, authentic New York experience to audiences. Yes. But I'm here for it. So on that note, we'll talk about one last show before we get into our recap, which is Insecure. Yesterday, it was announced by Issa Rae, show creator and star, that Insecure will end after its 5th and final season. I felt some type of way about this, guys, because I truly feel that season 4 was the best season yet.
Period.
Of Insecure.
Period. Because you know why? We actually saw growth in the characters.
So you took the word. Amen. Yes. that what I have been waiting for was to see the progression, to see the growth of human experience, and to see these characters learn from their actions. There was a point in time, as much as I have enjoyed Insecure, there were points in time where I was like, I'm done with this show. Like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of y'all continuing to make the same mistakes.
Making the same stupid faces when you make stupid decisions. Yes. Ooh. I said it.
I only thing I will say about season 4, and Yvonne, I love you in real life, but I was on the team bandwagon for a minute of like, kick her ass off the show. You were getting to me in season 4. I will be completely honest, but was it a beautiful season overall?
Yes, absolutely.
I absolutely loved it.
And guess what? It was so needed. It was so, I think the other reason why season 4 was so just perfect, we're in the middle of a freaking pandemic. And to just get that warm Black hug each Sunday.
It's so all of the things. It's such good writing. It's such good comedic elements to it. It's such good storylines.
Absolutely. And what I mean by that too, it's just was like it was a hug after the civil unrest in June with the George Floyd killings. And it was just like, oh, this is for the culture. You know what I mean? Like, this is for the culture. And we embrace it. And like she said about Chad, it was like, she knows her show is for us.
By us.
Completely. And it was just beautiful. Beautiful.
So I will say that Prentice Penny, who's the showrunner, tweeted to grieving fans of the show and basically said that Insecure will inadvertently pay homage to President Barack Obama. He said, we found it comforting to end the series doing 44 episodes. As fate would have it,
cute,
our best numbered president, Barack Obama the GOAT. And then in another subsequent tweet, he said that he and Issa had always intended to only have 5 seasons of Insecure. So it's not like they're being forced out. It's not like that this show will not beautifully come to its conclusion. Just like with Schitt's Creek. When people know when it's time to end, those are the best series for me, because you don't want to overstay your welcome. You don't want to get to a point where it's like you have audiences falling off because they're no longer interested. You would rather go out with a bang and go out at a point where fandom is still there and people still love you. There could be a Insecure film in the future. And then I'm sure East is going to continue to work with HBO and create some bomb content.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm excited.
She's executive producing all types of things.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was not sad to hear the news. It was one of those things where it was like, I knew this was coming. She had said this. And I actually appreciate, again, like you say, series that knows their arc, you know what I mean? Because they are able to be so endearing to pop culture, you know what I mean? And so, I'm excited for it. And I know, and I will say one last thing. I was so proud of them to finally get recognition on a major platform. So this year we got nominations for Issa and Yvonne and the writing and the show. Or wait, not the show, but some of the writing, right?
They got nominated for multiple Emmys. I believe they may have won one. I can't remember what that Emmy was for, but definitely the show has deserved recognition. And I think, again, because season 4 gave us so many things, including the revival of the relationship between Issa and Lawrence. Spoiler alert for anyone who does not know.
Phase. We didn't know any of this. We didn't know the
never
love.
Even knew we needed it, Delora. Never even knew we
did not. We did not.
And I was so here for it. It was such a satisfying season. Now, granted, y'all really got me with that end that I will not spoil for anybody who has not gotten a chance to see it. Just know we going into season 5 hot.
I can't wait to
get this done. Exactly. We will definitely be talking about it on the show. They have not set their release date yet, but as soon as they do, we will let y'all know and we will be on it. So on that note, Delora, my friend, I'm going to toss it over to you for a recap of Bridgerton Part 2.
Bridgerton Part 2. In this week's recap, we are going to recap episodes 5 through 8.
Okay.
Episode 5, The Duke and I. To fend off rumors about their garden escapades, Simon and Daphne must take a personal appeal to the queen. Morena's wet-like scheme dismays Penelope. So Ashley, we left off on a dynamic duel between Anthony and Simon over the virtue of Daphne. And at the end of that episode, she told him that we gonna get married because that's just how that cookie's gonna crumble. So in the beginning of episode 5, Mama, I'm getting married, Daphne announced to her mom the big news. The thing I love about this part too, really quick, is how Mama Bridgerton was obviously hungover and she refused to acknowledge it. That was hilarious. That was so hilarious to me.
I'm not feeling well. I'm just not feeling well.
They started talking about controlling passions, and it was like, okay, Mama. Really quick, I hate when parents do that. They tell you not to do something, and then when you get old enough or something, they're like, oh yeah, we just wanted to make sure you got out of high school, but life happens. It's just like,
hey,
really?
mamas are keeping it real. We got to keep you grounded when we need you grounded. When you get grown, we can keep it real with you. We can be honest. She was just keeping honest. Me and your father, we had trouble controlling our passions. Okay.
I mean, 8 kids later.
Keeping it 100. Can I tell you, for some reason, as you're talking about this, I have Bruno Mars. It's a beautiful night. We're looking for something dumb to do. Yes. For some reason, that is going in my head. Yes. Think I want to marry you. Yes, Bruno, drop that next album. Anyway, go ahead.
Any day, sir. Any day. So the queen and the prince are completely blindsided because they find out the engagement between the Duke of Hastings and Daphne through the paper, through the gossip, Whistledown Chronicles, okay?
The queen was pissed.
She was pissed. And one of the things that Lady Whistledown said that I loved, she's like, 2 reasons to marry so quickly is it's either true love or concealing a scandal. The prince goes to visit Daphne to see, like, hey,
what's really good?
Were we not on the same page? And he was so sweet, like I mentioned previously. And the youngest sister heard the conversation between Daphne and the prince. And of course, Daphne reassured him and say, we were definitely on the same page, but the Duke and I are meant to be, essentially. But the youngest sister was like, oh my goodness, I hope the Duke's proposal was as romantic as that. And part of me as a viewer was like, oh, nope, sure wasn't.
It was all over Daphne's face. It was all, I mean, the prince was so gracious in this moment, yes. It just, again, I love the dynamic sometimes in movies and shows where when a third person is presented in like a love triangle, it's not an easy decision, because in this case it's not. Yes. The prince was a wonderful man. There was nothing wrong with him,
and the queen,
it was so Notebook like,
Oh, well said. And the part that I love also is the queen was like, use your title, okay? And he was like, I am not going to do that, aunt. Yeah. And I was just like, that says a lot about his character, which I really enjoyed.
His temperament, even in previous episodes, remember he was like, if her heart is already claimed by another, like there's nothing else that I can do. He was just, he was so gracious. And it seems like, especially probably in that era and the privileged life he probably had led, that was probably a rarity of character.
Girl, yes.
And that was a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So speaking of cold feet, the Duke has visibly lost his sugar honey iced tea. Mm-hmm. Okay, so after this announcement in the paper, Daphne and Simon, Lady Dunbury, and Mama Bridgerton are all supposed to be promenading, right? Mm-hmm. And Simon shows up late, and he's visibly intoxicated.
He is wasted.
Ashley, Daphne was trying to pick up their banter and talk about, keeping up appearances or whatnot. And he wasn't having it. He was not connecting to her at all. And of course, when you're engaged, the only thing people seem to want to talk about, even before your wedding date is announced, are children. And so they run into some of the people of the town, and they talk about how beautiful of a couple they are and they can't wait to see them have kids. And Daphne tries to touch his hand, hold his hand. And he rejects her in front of everyone, Ashley.
Embarrassing.
Daphne looked horrified.
Embarrassing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what is going on here? So we move forward in this episode and the Featherington's money problems are showing. Madame Delacroix is not making any more dresses for the girls until they pay their bills. And Lady Featherington told this to Mr. Featherington, and all he had to say was, they can reuse their dresses.
They have plenty of them.
And she was like, we can cut off your tobacco allowance. Mm-hmm. He just seemed, for him to have dug such a deep hole, he just seems so unbothered.
Well, except for in episode 4 when he had that breakdown. And
yes.
I'm sorry, not that I laugh at men showing vulnerability, but I laughed my ass off when he broke down crying like that. It was just so, he was just seemed so pitiful. I think that's what it was. He seemed so pitiful. So yes, now he goes back to like a more reserved, aloof version. But that was the time where I could tell like all of this has gotten to him. He knows he's failed his family. And unfortunately, this may just be the way that he has to react to it in order to be able to move through it. So he's not like, depressed or whatever. Because, he lost all their money, guys. The dowry that he had for all his daughters. Everything was up for grabs at that point. Who knows?
They were at the point where they would have had to sell everything in the house to make things, make ends meet.
And again, this is why when we were talking about the undoing previously, I said, I don't mind Nicole keeping that money separate because you see what happens.
Girl, especially
when you're not paying attention to that money.
The more zeros that are added to it, absolutely. And speaking of the Featheringtons, Penelope is starting to push back a little bit. Up until this point, she was Marina's number one confidant, dealing with writing letters to her love off at war and, taking care of her condition, her being pregnant. But the connection between Colin and Marina is becoming more obvious. And that connection is becoming stronger. Penelope is starting to push back a little bit more to the point of she's acting like her back's against the wall at this point, Ashley. What did you think about this turn of events, a turn of attitude in particular with Penelope?
Well, as I said during part 1, I saw this coming because the love triangle was already getting set up. You could already see every time there was a discussion with her and Marina about Colin, there was some tension there. There was a look on Penelope's face. There was whatever. And it was understandable, especially given the situation, that she would feel some type of way, even if she didn't have a crush on him, even if it was just a friend. The idea of Marina wanting to essentially just seduce him and get him to propose for the sake of getting married and covering up her child, her being pregnant from someone else, that is manipulative. Yes. And I even was thinking during this, is it cruel? In her opinion, she's doing what she has to do, but there's a level of cruelty there.
Well, because it's selfish, right? You're not allowing the other person to have a say on the matter. And that's where, she may be able to sleep good at night with her decision, but that's because she reconciled it within herself.
Exactly.
And this is something that obviously is throughout this whole series, poor communication. Okay. And so with her not being upfront with her potential mate, i.e. Colin, that makes things very interesting. And Penelope, having known the Bridgerton, especially Colin, for all these years, she probably felt like she had to speak up.
And wanting to protect him. Again, her intention is obviously more than she lets on, even because she has feelings for Colin.
Yes.
But at the same time, even if this were just a friend, I understand that desire to protect him, because if this were my friend, I would absolutely be feeling the same way. And I'm not going to take Marina's side over Colin, who I've known my whole life, it seems like, potentially, because they live across the street from each other. I don't know if we've ever spoken of that.
Yes.
The Featheringtons and the Bridgertons live across the street. This is your neighbor.
Yes.
And Marina, again, I understand her position, especially being a woman of that time, not knowing what to do, but that does not negate the cruelty that you are potentially inflicting on this young man. So.
And I will also say this, I hear you, but I found myself leaning towards Marina in this particular
scenario.
Triangle.
I had empathy. I had empathy
for her.
I had empathy.
Because Penelope started getting on my nerves just a bit.
She definitely was getting on my nerves. I just extend grace in the idea that if I were in that situation, if I were in her shoes, if I had this situation going on, I would definitely have spoken up. Like, there's no way that I would have just sat back and not said anything, I would imagine, knowing me.
And the last thing I'm going to say to that is, I think part of the reason why she was getting on my nerves is because the way that she was going about it was very immature.
Yeah, it was shady. She wasn't straight up coming to Marina and saying, listen, you are tripping. I don't appreciate you doing. And that's a fair point, because Delora, that's exactly how I would have did it. I would have went straight to her face.
Period.
And I would have said, ma'am, listen, I need you to have several seats. If you don't say something to Colin, I'm going to tell him.
I'll give you until tomorrow.
You are not going to trick my friend into marriage, and you over here whole pregnant by another man. You got the wrong one.
Girl, not today.
18, 12, 18, 13.
Not
you got the wrong one.
Today. Okay. And that's why we're friends. Okay. We keep it 1,000 at all times.
Absolutely. But fair point. That is true. How old were they, though? How old was Penelope?
Thank you for saying that, Ashley, because one of the things that I found out since part 1, Daphne is 18 years old. The marriage-minded misses were around the ages of 16 to like 18, 19 years old. Okay. And the Duke is supposed to be around 28 years old. So.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. And obviously not surprising, because look at the way Colin was treated and talked about. He's older than Daphne, as if he was not ready for marriage.
Yes.
Crazy, because he needed to sow his royal wild oats.
Girl. So one of the things I didn't mention yet was when Daphne informed her mom about her and the Duke's engagement, there's a sense of urgency. She wants to get married in 3 days. And so, again, in preparation for the wedding, you go to the Maldives. And there, Cowper saw Daphne and started talking some shade to her. It was feeling real blackmail-y, stating, she claimed to know her, quote unquote, the whole game that apparently Daphne was playing was, you got the prince's attention to make the Duke jealous, and good luck with trying to marry him. And one thing that I love about Daphne is she is a woman of agency. She told old girl, I'm about to be a duchess in 3 days. You can be my friend or you can be my enemy. Choose wisely, B.
Yeah. I feel like we all know a Cressida in our lives at one point in time. And I think that Daphne handled the situation masterfully. I love the fact that Daphne was so choosy in the way she chose to talk to people and approach people.
She found her power in that scenario,
but always made her point. I mean, this is what I was saying about Daphne, even in part 1. Daphne is underestimated in her ability to be very logical and also very tactical in the way that she approached many situations.
Yes.
You can take the Simon situation as her being irrational and falling for this guy who's unattainable, all these things. But the way that Daphne maneuvered, I felt was very reasonable and practical for that era, especially. So hats off to Daphne in many a situation, but I definitely like the way she handled Miss Cressida. So
Miss Cressida had to gather her fabric and leave. Okay.
Her and her mother were a piece of work.
I hated her hair, by the way, too. That braid situation. Like, what are we doing?
Anything about her. I didn't like anything. If I saw the actress on the street, I may turn up my nose like, ugh, I know you. Ew. Just kidding, girl. I'm just kidding.
So Simon and Anthony meet at the church because they're getting ready for this wedding that's supposed to be happening in 3 days. And guess what, Ashley? No license, no marriage. And when Daphne hears about this, and as well as Mama Bridgerton, there's a panic because if too much time goes by, Cressida has time to start spreading some rumors. Okay. And so one of the things that I absolutely love, and this panic scene also is a celebratory dinner between the Bridgertons, Lady Danbury, and Simon for this upcoming nuptials. And Lady Danbury is like, I know who canceled that special request for a speedy license. It was the Queen. She's upset you didn't marry her nephew, and she's making a power move, so to speak. And she was like, I need for y'all to make a plea in person. I need for you all to be genuine, but do not grovel. You need to do this in order to get what you need so you can get married in a couple of days. And I love this scene because Lady Danbury, again, she just knows her power, you know what I mean? And she knows her friends, they're just as petty as everyone else. I just love that.
Yeah, Lady Danbury is the best. This speech that Simon gives before the Queen.
Stop it. Stop it.
This speech.
Stop it. No, we are not there yet. I have 2 more things to say, okay?
Sorry, go ahead.
Before we get to this epic speech, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We have a quick scene where Benedict goes to Sir, or his name is he Mr.? He's Mr. Gainville, right? He's not a lord, correct?
I do not know that gentleman's name, but he definitely brought some scandal. So,
girl, first of all, he showed up to sketch again. It was a whole sexy party going on.
Nude models in 1813 out here.
Girl, nude models. They were kissing and a lot of action going on, and Benedict kind of jumped right in with both feet though, real quick.
I mean, Benedict had a whole situation unbeknownst to him with that man's wife. I mean, had no idea. He had no idea.
He sure did. All right. And
can I just say he was on some Prince Harry-ish. That's what I thought the whole time, because he's the second son. He is the second son.
Freedom.
And they have a discussion about that, right? Like,
they do.
It's second sons.
Yeah.
So we don't have that level of responsibility on our shoulders. Prince Harry-ish in Prince Harry's wilder days. Let me be clear. He had now settled himself down.
Days.
We're talking exactly pictures in Vegas. Harry lived his best life.
And the last scene before the plea to the Queen, Simon is drunk on the street. And so the first time I saw this, I was under the impression that, oh my goodness, I vowed to never get married and I'm getting married. But when I watched it again, I realized that he's feeling like he's trapping a wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was really surprised by that.
He's guilty. He feels guilty.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, Will, being the great friend that he is, he gets him off the curb and say, man, get your life together. Okay. So with the Featheringtons, Lady Featherington informed Marina that she has a lord on deck to marry her in her current condition. And again, with him being old and creepy, Marina is like, hey, let me trap Colin real quick. And let me get into a situation with him so that he might not know this baby ain't his. And that way we'll be engaged and we don't have to worry about the scandal of being pregnant. This is where it got really dark. You know what I mean? In terms of their scheming to try to marry her off. the fact that she was willing to lie to Colin, I mean, I guess it's all bad, right? But to even falsely get this man in bed and then say, oh, this is your baby. I mean, Ashley.
I mean, again, that's why I said I give Penelope, as annoying as she did get at certain points in time, if you put yourself in those shoes, that was not the ideal way to go about that. I feel that Marina thought she was doing what she absolutely had to do given that situation. But on Colin's side, it was unfair. It was unreasonable because he really did have feelings for this woman. He really did feel that he was in love with this woman. So it was very unfortunate as a viewer and also as Penelope, because again, she was his longtime friend.
Absolutely. So we move on to the King's speech. We have a moment where Queen Charlotte meets the King and he's lucid. And they have a pleasant interaction until it goes wrong. And at this point, it becomes too much for the Queen. And so this scene, I think, is important to bring up because we finally see her interacting with her husband. Up until this point, all Queen Charlotte has ever asked about when it came to her husband was, is he dead yet? Mm-hmm. And this was a painful scene, and I thought it was well acted. I love Queen Charlotte, and yeah, I wanted to highlight this before we get to the main event.
Yeah, and I mean, it just showed the madness that we had talked about in part one when you kind of gave a little bit of the background of the history. Again, to me, they kind of framed it as if maybe he had Alzheimer's or dementia, but it showed, again, also a more vulnerable side to Queen Charlotte, right? Because you could think as a viewer, she's a little more superficial. All she cares about is gossip or being entertained or whatever, but it's hiding a deeper pain because she obviously is having to live through not only the dissolution of her marriage, but the deterioration of her husband.
Yes.
And especially in that era, probably not really knowing what that means and why that's the case and all of that. And knowing profoundly impacted her.
They were technically in the story that is a love match too, right?
Exactly. Even the way Lady Danbury talked about it in terms of, him choosing this Black woman and all this and that, like who knows what that may have meant to Queen Charlotte at the time too, as far as possibly helping to uplift the Black community out of whatever the situation may have been.
According to the story, because this did not happen in real life.
According to Shonda Rhimes' version of this reality, let's be clear.
Christopher Von Dusen.
So yeah, I mean, I thought it was definitely important because again, I always like to have a better understanding of a character, and it just gives you further insight into Queen Charlotte. So,
and I think this is also a pivotal scene because we are now in front of the Queen. There is Simon, the Duke of Hastings, Daphne, Mama Bridgerton, and Lady Danbury, and the Queen is like, "Why?" Playing stupid. Okay. Why do you think I canceled it? And they're just like, well, we're here to request this special license so we can get married. So Daphne goes according to plan. She tells her a version of the story. And then Simon, mind you, has not been able to make any real contact with Daphne since the proposal, really. And, he's just been very disgruntled lately. He interrupts her and gives the best speech of this entire series. I called it the "You Complete Me" speech of Bridgerton.
Yeah. Throwback. I agree. It was, especially in the moment, because they have not had a conversation for us even to know how he's feeling.
Not in private.
So it was pivotal. It sounded very true to me. So I was like, I bet he's really bearing his soul right now. Yes. And that whole line about friendship being the greatest foundation.
I'm reading it, girl. I'm reading it. Okay, I'm reading it.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Simon informs the Queen that he found her attractive, but there was no romance initially. And he talked about how he did not enjoy flirting or talking at all. And I'm like, oh my God. It took me watching it the third time to realize, because he's a stutterer. Like, he just was very, he was a man of few words, and he said what he needed to say because he also was a brooding guy too, because he needed a hug. Anyway, he talked about how conversations with each other came easy. He said that her laughter brought him joy and that they found friendship. And to find that in a beautiful woman, that is entirely different. And he said, I want her to be my wife.
Yes.
Girl, I rewound that like 4 times the first time I heard this, because for me, this was the proposal that Daphne deserved.
That is beautiful. Indeed. Here. Yes. Clink, clink, if we were in person and we had glasses. Clink, girl, clink.
Yes.
Yes, that is absolutely the proposal she deserved. It was beautiful.
He did take the time to apologize to the queen for swooping in on her when his nephew had her attention. Mm-hmm. But guess what, Ashley? She passed it. They have a wedding.
Yeah, and can I just speak to the friendship being the greatest foundation for a union part was especially my favorite, because I so feel that is the most valid thing that he possibly said, and the thing that seemed to be the most compelling to the queen as well. Yes. Being that having that foundation of a relationship, of a marriage, whatever, I found even in my personal life to be the thing that will withstand time and
the test of time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it was just one of those moments. I'm like, Shonda, you wrote this, or somebody wrote this, and you were smiling. Wasn't
Chris,
you was like,
Chris. Yes.
Message.
Message. Okay, gorgeous. But Ashley, we make it to the wedding. This was the saddest wedding I think I've seen in a very long time.
The drag queen said it looked worse than the pandemic.
I've seen better weddings during the pandemic. Oh my gosh. Again, lack of eye contact, lack of communication, because apparently they're not having conversations with one another.
They're both feeling some type of way and thinking that the other person hates them. You know what I mean?
But where do you think that comes from? Because to me, that's not very clear. Do you feel like, I can see why she might feel it when it comes to her making him do something that he blatantly said that he wouldn't do, right? But for him, I guess I don't understand his plight.
So if I were in Simon's shoes, I guess I understand the idea of feeling like you're taking the one thing from someone you care about that you know they truly love and value, and that was children. So his main point was, if she marries me, I'm not going to be able to give her what her heart truly desires. If you love someone, you want them to be fulfilled and you want them to be happy. And he felt like he was not that man to give that to her. So
that's true.
I can totally understand why he'd feel guilty about that. And I can also understand her perspective. And again, we're talking about, we are an omnipresence in this show. We get to see every perspective. Remember what it's like to be a human being on one side of a relationship fence. You know what I mean? You're only seeing what you're seeing and only experiencing in that way. So I can totally understand why they both thought, she must hate me. He must hate me. I've trapped him. I've trapped her. I'm not going to make him happy. I'm not going to make her happy. It, to me, felt very obvious and understandable. I just wish, like, can y'all just talk? Like, y'all have such good rapport. Can we not just talk?
Exactly. During this wedding was very busy, okay? During this wedding, Marina swooped in to try to trap Colin. Colin doesn't fall for it because he's a gentleman, literally, okay?
Yeah, he was my favorite Bridgerton brother.
Really?
He is.
I think Benedict's my favorite.
But I have no problem with Benedict, but I love Colin.
You know what? I take that back. I like Colin. I do too. Yeah. I like him too. He's
y'all
a gentleman.
Y'all know how I feel about Anthony, so we don't even need to go there.
He's a rake. And according to that video, rake is the 1813 form of fuck boy. So
you a fuck boy out here. Yes, I think your boy Regé Jean said that specifically in a YouTube video. In a YouTube video. Yeah, he was a fuck boy.
And instead of, taking her up on her offer, he proposed to her at the wedding. And he said that, this is my sister's day, but we'll reveal this to everyone else later. At the wedding, the queen is there, and she overhears Eloise trying to find the identity of Whistledown, and the queen takes interest. Also, Daphne is overwhelmed by the lack of communication between her and Simon. And she runs upstairs and her mom follows and gives her the worst sex talk of all time. Ashley,
yes,
this woman couldn't string two thoughts together to have this conversation. I mean, she talked about rain and flowers and dogs in the country, and then there's puppies. Ma'am, you have struggles. 8 children. You can tell her something.
You can tell that because her 3 oldest are sons, that she has absolutely never had this conversation before in her life.
So true. Touche. Excellent point, Ashley. Wow. Daphne and Simon are now on their way to his, dukedom, to his castle, now that the wedding's over. But she's informed on the way there that they're staying at a freaking inn on their wedding night. Ashley, I was pissed. I was like, who wants to stay at an inn? What are we doing?
I guess I didn't mind because I was like, I mean, y'all gonna be fucking anyway. Like, that was just like,
but
does it matter? That's just what
it kind of does, because it's like, we can't be in our castle though.
I was gonna say, the point made. Again, Daphne is a virgin. This is gonna be her first experience, and they're supposed to be going to Clive. Then she thinks she's about to arrive to this beautiful castle like house. And I understand the heads up would have been appreciated, but I guess just in my mind, it's like, but as long as you're with your husband, do I really care where I'm gonna be?
I guess.
But again, I'm not Daphne,
And so they make it to the end, and it's the most awkward wedding night of all times because
this man had booked a whole other room.
Booked 2 rooms.
What?
And then, mind you, Daphne has no idea what's supposed to happen tonight, by the way. But she knew that they at least should have shared a room, right?
Yes.
And they're pacing back and forth, and she decides to say something to him finally because it's just the 2 of them. And he's at her door talking about, chicken is good on Wednesdays. So
are you ready to go to dinner? I'm not hungry. We need to talk.
We haven't had a conversation all day and we just got married. So again, poor communication, Ashley.
Indeed.
And they realized, and they finally revealed to each other all the pent-up anxiety they were having. He revealed that he felt like he trapped her and that he absolutely loves talking to her. And she revealed the same thing about herself, that she felt like he trapped him. And she's like, why are you so frustrated? And he's like, because I burn for you.
I wish I could see Delora right now. We gonna have to start posting some videos because I can't.
Oh my God, Ashley!
I burn for you.
And then she's like, but I burn for you too. And Ashley, yes. I also want to say this. I love the music in this show, but this was my least favorite song. I was like, what is this song? And the name of the song is Strange Love. And I'm like, it sounded strange. And maybe they were trying to play up like, this weird new feelings and whatever's going on, because they're about to get it on. They're about to consummate this marriage.
I was about to say, to be honest with you, the music isn't even memorable. I don't remotely remember what was playing.
Wait. Let me tell you what I do remember. They kiss passionately. They get undressed. And he's over her in the bed. And he's like, did you touch yourself like we talked about? Ooh. Show me. And I was like, woo!
Girl. Can I say that gasp that Daphne had when Simon dropped his pants?
Girl.
Y'all know she had never synced nothing like that.
That one-eyed monster in her life.
So
like, why is it different colors? I'm just
Shut up, Delora. Shut up. Y'all. She ain't even drinking over there, I don't think. She cutting up today, y'all.
But Ashley, the most important thing about this episode before we move on to episode 6 is the fact that we realized that Simon claimed that he could never have children. You realize, oh, no, that's an option for him.
He's full of shit. The pull-out move was real.
Girl, I was like, this is fuckboy level action.
Yeah.
OMG. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For anyone who is, I wouldn't even say sexually experienced, if you even probably have Google at this point and have seen some things, you know that man was pulling the pull-out move so that he cannot get his now wife pregnant. So yes, it definitely is an audience. Daphne had no idea because she was not aware of how babies are made.
Completely oblivious.
But as the audience, what he was doing. Yeah, as the audience, it's like, oh, that man lied to you.
Episode 6. Swoosh. On her honeymoon, Daphne discovers just how uninformed she is about the physical aspects of the marital bed. Colin comes to a decision about Marina. All right, so I'm going to start off by saying, welcome home. You know, Daphne is in her new palace with her duke.
It looks like some straight Beauty and the Beast mansion shit.
Gorgeous mansion. And what's interesting is that the lady, Miss Coulson, she had the nerve to say, I want to give you tours and lunch. I'm like, ma'am, do you realize they're on their honeymoon? Can you leave us alone, please? And back at home at the Tawn, Colin makes his engagement announcement. And Mama Bridgerton and Anthony are not happy about it. It's actually quite interesting because Anthony goes as far as saying, I should have taken you to brothels when you came back from service. What?
This is what comes of not sowing your wild oats. But Colin is older than Daphne.
He is. Again, ABCD.
Yeah. The societal double standards.
Girl. So. Exactly. The perfect Duchess. So Miss Coulson takes Daphne on a tour of her new palace. And she's not impressed with Daphne. She's given a lot of side eye. Daphne is able to walk by a gorgeous portrait of Simon's mother. And Miss Coulson informed her that she was the perfect Duchess in every way. And
shade. She was throwing some shade.
Lots of shade. And Daphne was not picking up any of it. Okay.
I don't remember if I said this last show, but Daphne and Simon, the way that they behaved, especially on this tour and things like that, they reminded me of like modern royals in terms of wanting to do for themselves, being more autonomous, breaking from tradition. You know what I mean? I enjoyed that aspect of like, we're coming in fresh and new. You're going to have to understand that we're going to do things a little different.
Exactly. And that includes having sex in the library in daylight. Because actually in this episode, there's a lot of sex. It's so much sex that there's a sex montage in this episode. And you know what? I'm going to do you a favor and tell you about some production facts about this time. Okay. So I saw recently on Access Hollywood that Regé-Jean and Phoebe, they actively talk about this sex coordinator. And so they talked about how they felt like they were very safe and well communicated about everything that they were doing in terms of these scenes, because they are a lot of scenes. Yeah. And the sex coordinator talked about how that library scene in particular was the very first thing that Regé and Phoebe shot together on screen.
Sheesh, they went hard in the paint.
Day one, scene one, okay?
Let me just guide your head down.
Talk about getting to know you.
Into position. My God.
She talked about how the palace where they stayed for their honeymoon was a real palace. It was there were real beds and wallpaper, and so she had to be mindful of her choreography for these sex scenes to make sure the beds aren't shaking so much and scraping across the real wallpaper that's been there for centuries at this point. So
because their sex life was still quite active. I mean,
very active, Ashley.
It was good.
And during one of their more pivotal scenes at the end of this montage with Taylor Swift, Wildest Dreams playing on the strings, he has his pinnacle. And she asked him if he hurts and if he's okay. Again, proving how ignorant she is about this whole situation. So,
poor thing.
Back at the Ton, Penelope is starting to just lash out. She is just looking, she's just feeling really cornered now knowing about the engagement. And one of the lines that she says during this moment that I want to highlight is that I would never bring scandal upon my family. I'll just leave that there because we're going to pick that back up later. Eloise is actively brainstorming who exactly Lady Whistledown is. And Marina calls out Madame Delacroix for being a phony. I thought that was quite interesting.
It was one of those times that I felt that bonded her with Lady Featherington, because it always seemed like Lady Featherington saw her as like a bothersome presence in her house.
Like
and it's
arm's length. Like,
and
like
it's like,
said,
look, I can be useful.
I have to resolve.
I am useful because my mother was French and I can speak French. Look at what just happened. I now have secured something that you were not able to secure for yourself. So I saw it as a
can't pay your bills.
Exactly.
Yes.
bills.
Back at the Duke's land, we find out that the previous steward of the land wasn't doing their job. And they go among the people. There's a pig competition. Daphne is new to the town, so she goes and puts her 2 cents on the race. And this crying child comes running up to Daphne, and she consoles him. She's a natural. And at this point, they talk about their life without children. And he tells her that she's going to be a splendid aunt. And I was really perturbed, extremely perturbed at that moment. All right. So keeping up with the Bridgertons, the Featheringtons go over to the Bridgertons for dinner to celebrate this new engagement. And this is where the swish comes in because Lady Featherington wanted to make sure Marina is showing. So Penelope, again, back against the wall, tells Colin that Marina has a whole entire soldier boo and that, you know, this isn't a good idea. And he's like, that's fine. She loved before me. And it didn't sway him not one bit. And both Colin and Marina create a plan to run away because they just want to be together. All right, back at the Hastings house, Daphne is just not a perfect Duchess. She keeps doing the wrong things. Miss Coulson keeps telling her about it. She gets a little bit more insight on Simon and his family, and that his dad was not the best, that her mom was awesome. And then she made a comment about the mechanics of making babies that really piqued Daphne's interest. There must be a way out. Penelope is now scrambling to find something to prevent Colin and Marina from getting married. So she snoops in Marina's room and finds all the old letters that George sent her. And she found out that last letter, when he broke it off, was indeed a forgery from her mother. Terrible. And Marina's not fazed. She said, I love Colin, and this is the best thing I can do for my child. And Penelope is not understanding, and Marina gives her the best read, I felt like, of this whole series. She told her, you know what? I love Colin, and if I am the executioner of your childish fantasy, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
Your love is an unrequited fantasy, and Colin sees you just as you are, like his sister. He sees me as a woman, a wife, and as a woman, I have to make difficult decisions, even if it hurts your feelings.
Yeah.
Bitch. No, just
no, but for real though, that was probably exactly what she was thinking. Like, ma'am, let me just sit you down real quick. Let me tell you how this real life works. Because again, I feel like maturity level, she felt that Penelope was so childish.
Yes.
And again, the way she was going about things. And then again, Marina is one of the few women in the show at her age who knows more about life and love and sex and all these things. So in her mind, it's like, I have to talk to you in such a way because you don't understand where I'm coming from. You don't understand the obligations that I have. You don't understand that I have to take care of myself and this child. And again, that's why I extend grace to Marina, but you still wrong. But okay, I this scene, that read, yes, it was epic.
Yes. Back to S&D. That's how I referred to them in my notes. They have sex again, this time on Simon's desk. And this time really shocked Daphne, so much so that she goes to her maid Rose to give her the real 411. They have the most epic girlfriend talk of all time.
She went to the maid's quarters. She barreled through the maid's quarters to find Rose.
Because she needed to know the facts. And sometimes you need to go where you need to go to get the facts, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So she finds out, and this is just utterly upsetting to Daphne. But what does she do? What she does is she doesn't say anything to Simon. She waits to have another encounter with her husband, and she goes on top. So at first I was like, okay, Rose told her about a new move. Okay, I'm here for it. Well, she proceeds to do this move and take control. Yes. And when he wants to stop, he starts to stutter, Ashley. He's like, what's going on?
Yes.
Stop.
If y'all can see me, guys, I'm covering my face because I'm preparing. Go ahead.
She rapes him, Ashley. I don't know how. Whoa. This is a rape.
Whoa.
He wanted her off.
Whoa. Wow.
Ashley.
Whoa.
Ashley, you can be butt booty naked. When you say no, stop, the person needs to respect you.
Did he actually say no, stop? Did he say those words?
He said, wait, Daphne. And then
he said, wait, that's not no, stop. That's not.
So I will give you a caveat and say, according to the books, it was a full-on rape, by the way.
Oh, my God.
I mean, obviously, they don't really, you're not used to hearing about females raping men, right?
For sure.
But it is something that happens in the book, and it's extremely scandalous, and apparently this was very carefully crafted for the series. Okay. But she takes advantage of him.
So let's be clear. The way that it is depicted in the show, I did not see it as a rape. Did I see it as her taking advantage of him in a vulnerable moment? Yes, she absolutely knew what she was doing. You could call it the equivalent of the leg lock.
Very intentional.
We could call it the equivalent of the leg lock. Fellas, you know what I'm talking about. But rape, at least for the way that it was depicted in the show, I've not read up on how the books depicted it, sounds harsh. I did not in this moment feel that Daphne raped her husband. What I felt was obviously she absolutely went into that moment with the intention.
Yes, her intentions were clear.
Taking control so that she could establish whether or not her theories and what she had heard from Rose were accurate, which was that he had intentionally been pulling out so that he could not get her pregnant. Absolutely. Again, leg lock move for sure.
And after she was done, okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but are you saying rape as in you felt Daphne was wrong, as in you were upset with this scene when you saw it? Give me a little more context of your feelings around this.
So I feel like it was rape because you knew that he pulled out every time. You knew it. So when he was, granted, yes, he did not say stop in this context. Okay, I will give you that. But she knew exactly what she was doing. He said, wait. He didn't throw her off, which he could have done too.
He could have.
But the way she was so angry when they finished that it was just very gross to me. And don't get me wrong, what he was doing,
the look on her face was masterful. It was like got your ass look.
Yes,
for sure.
And mind you, that position that she was doing in the bed with her legs up is a very common thing that women do when they want to get pregnant, by the way.
Again, it's the equivalent of a leg lock. I don't know how familiar some people are, but some women, when they know a man is about to come, they will lock their legs, especially if it is the missionary position. They will lock their legs so that the man cannot pull out of them. So that is legitimate. That's why I was saying leg lock. I don't know if I feel like more guys probably know what I'm talking about, maybe than women, but that is legitimate. But again, this is what bothered me about this scene. The reason why, especially that the way it was depicted, I can't call it a rape, is because if that's the case, then how can you call it, or how can you feel that Daphne was so wrong when Simon went into the scenario taking
advantage of her ignorance? Like, no, I agree.
This is your right.
Wait. I don't want you to think that I don't see any fault in him either.
That's why I was asking for context. Give me some context around how you're feeling. This is a
fucked up foundation to have a marriage. It is not ideal. Not ideal. Because
I don't believe in marital rape. I think marital rape is a legitimate thing. You can rape your spouse. Absolutely.
But at the end, I wanted to state what he was saying, stuttering his way through. What did you do? How could you? And and he's like, what did you do? And then she goes on to say, how could you? You lied to me. You took advantage of me. But to me, I was like, this is not okay. This whole communication right now is just very dangerous, very unhealthy, because she felt there was a level of self-righteousness in that I'm like, ma'am, we need to pump the brakes. We need to take a time out or something, because your message isn't getting through to him and vice versa.
Man, I hate to be Team Daphne on this, but I'm Team Daphne on this situation.
Girl.
Because, especially given the era.
He told her, I was willing to die. I was willing to die for you, and I thought
so was I as Daphne, because I done ran up in the middle of a fucking shootout so I could try to save you. What are you talking about? Like, that's what, but I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting excited because I'm drinking a little bit.
She also said, you do not trick the one you love. You do not lie to them. That is not love. And that is very true. I mean, she made valid points. It just was it's so ugly. But this is why this is drama. This is the mess that we love, right?
I think Daphne handled this the best? No. But do I think she handled it the best way she knew how? Yes. I will say that. You're talking about a woman who was living in 1813. She was born and bred to be a wife. She thought she had found her husband. She finds out this husband took advantage of her and lied to her.
Her ignorance. That's the worst thing. Like, you don't know what you don't know, you know?
Exactly. So that's just what I'm saying. Like, again, did she handle it the best way? Hopefully in real life, somebody would have a conversation and not just, try to hop on top and let me see what happens. But...
Okay. And one of the best lines, Miss Lady Whistledown had some of the best lines. She's like, the one we love have the power to inflict the greatest scars. And the reason why...
I feel like Bob Marley said something like that too, in a quote.
Possibly.
Bob Marley fans, y'all may know better than me. Go ahead, sorry.
And in this same publication, Lady Whistledown blows the freaking whistle on Colin and Morena, specifically her being pregnant and him not being her baby daddy. That was awfully specific. awfully personal.
This is when I felt only one person could be Lady Whistledown.
Period. And then the way the episode ended, can the ends ever justify such wretched means?
That was multiple scenarios, huh?
Girl. Episode 7, Oceans Apart. Amid accusations of lies and betrayal, a rift forms between the newlyweds, while a deception of another kind can besmirch the Bridgerton family's name. All right, Ashley, the honeymoon is over.
That bed grew real cold.
It's like, whose side are you on? You're Daphne. You're Daphne's side.
I'm Team Daphne. Point. Yep, I'm Team Daphne for sure.
I'm Team neither. I'm Team healthy relationships, healthy forms of communication. That's the team I'm on, and they're on neither side on this at this point.
Yeah.
In the midst of her moving her things out of his room, because again, the honeymoon is over, Simons is extremely insistent that he keeps an eye on Daphne to see if she's with child, because at this point, he's like, I'm going to do my duty as your husband. However, and I would do my duty as the father of this child. But if you are not pregnant, we are done. We're just married in name alone. In the midst of all of this drama, Daphne gets wind of the drama that is going on at the Ton with her brother and Marina. Lady Featherington is desperate at this point. She wants to wash Marina from her hands. She goes as far as trying to take her to a freaking nunnery. Yeah. Or they didn't explicitly say a nunnery, but it was a place of charity. And they were like, where's those charitable dollars, ma'am? And of course, they didn't have any. So she had to move on to the next thing. Bridgerton in crisis. The family joins together like the Avengers to figure out how to resolve
like the Avengers
this issue, because this is scandal on their name. This could affect the marriage of all the younger Bridgertons, you know what I mean? And so they all come together trying to find the best course of action. Daphne comes in and she says that her and the Duke can provide a diversion by being in town, because everybody wants to know what they're doing, because they are the it couple of the town.
But I asked myself, and I want to ask you, was this truly needed for them to come to the rescue, or was it just an excuse for Daphne because her marriage is now in shambles?
I think it's both, because I didn't take the time to try to brainstorm any other solution that could have worked without them. But I do think their star power was strong enough to get people. Star power. They the J and Bay, okay? So of the Ton, okay? You want to know what's going on, okay?
Got it.
So Daphne is trying to console Colin for dodging a bullet, and Colin calls her out on her bitterness. It's like, chick, you just got married and you out here feeling some kind of way about everything.
Yeah.
And in order to smooth out those tensions, she agreed to chaperone a visit with Marina, because all he wants to do at this point is to talk to her and have a true conversation, because I don't think he knew whether or not it was true or not at this point.
No, he didn't. And that's, again, speaks to Colin's character, that he's like, even though these salacious rumors are out here, I still want to speak to her, because in my heart, I still love her, and I need closure. I need to have a better understanding. He didn't just believe what Whistledown was saying. Love Colin, appreciate you.
So the Duke goes boxing, and he comes home really late, and Daphne peeks out her bedroom at their London home, or not London, but the Ton, and she's questioning where you been at, like who you been with. And he's like, how dare you question my honor? We've only been married for a week.
Three. It's only been 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yes. And so
I think I'm already out here slaying some pussy.
She said that your reputation, sir, preceded you. Okay.
Sorry for anybody who gets offended by that word. Refer to Emily in Paris for my feelings on that.
Oh my goodness. And so they have this back and forth, and she suggests that they have nothing left in their marriage. And he looks at her like, oh, we don't?
Yeah.
We don't? And then I just put stairwell. Okay. I don't know what base this is. I don't know bases. I call it maybe the 4th base, but she wanted a home run. And he was like, nah, we ain't doing that because I don't trust you no more. You saw the trauma in his eyes when she was like, let's go to your bedroom.
It depends, guys, on what you consider to be going all the way. That was a home run for somebody.
True.
Daphne in particular. But yes, obviously what had already happened, they, as she says at the end of that scene, they had lost the trust. She no longer trusted him. He no longer trusted her because of what had happened. But as an audience member, it was a dagger to the heart for me because it gave me a glimmer of hope of like, oh, y'all about to maybe try to work this out and figure this out.
Can we talk about the acting? The acting of Reggae, Jean and Phoebe, they are amazing actors. The way they acted with their eyes alone. I mean, when you saw the pain in his eyes when she said, is there nothing else? And he was like, I think we got something here. Cause let me, let keep up your head to your toes.
Move from the bed, down to the floor. And I wanna, you make it so good. I don't want to leave. And I gotta, no, what's your thing to say? Okay.
But then as soon as she said, let's go to your bedroom, the pain that flashed across his face.
And again, let me clarify. When I say I'm Team Daphne, that does not mean that I do not sympathize with Simon whatsoever. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, in terms of the situation they found themselves in, it's not like I didn't find Simon to be culpable in that. That's what I mean. Is like, I felt that the dissolution of their marriage, especially at this moment, was painful for both of them. But I felt like when it came to Daphne, it was as if like you tricked me initially. Like, yeah, Simon may feel like she tricked him in that moment in the bedroom. Yeah. But sir, you've been lying to me since that moment out. Yeah. Yes, since that moment out during the duel, you've been lying to me.
You said never, not I don't wanna. Two different things. Two different things.
Absolutely.
The cruelest deception. So
but is it valid to say that as an audience we were all still rooting for them? We're all like, no, this isn't the end.
Oh, absolutely. I did not enjoy these episodes. I hate to say it, I actually enjoyed the first 4 episodes more because we've had this conversation in the past, the anticipation, do you like me? Do you really like me? Before you even get to your first kiss, it's like that build up I loved. Once they finally got together, they had such an unhealthy relationship that I did not get a chance to enjoy it. It was painful. It was painful.
It was painful. Absolutely. Exactly. And it felt like both of them were so ill-equipped to get into the union that they were getting into, even more so than we originally thought. Yes. And that's an unfortunate part of it too, is like, I feel like nobody prepared them for what they were getting into. And the struggle was real. The struggle was very real.
Wow. Okay. The cruelest deception. Colin and Marina finally get a chance to talk about the things that were said per Lady Whistledown. I still love her agency because she's like, I didn't come here to be pooped on or to be shamed by you. And she's like, say what you need to say, sir. And he did. He said, I loved you so much. I would have fathered your child. Girl.
If you had just been honest with me, it was what Colin said. If you had just been honest with me, I would have still married you and been with you anyway, because that's how much I thought I loved you. I wrote down broke my heart because again, I love Colin. I love the sincerity with which he goes through life as far as I've seen for the show. Yeah. And it's like, again, of all the people to be trying to trick, he was so sincere and so, you know, and it just, I don't even have the words for it. He was such a good man. That's what bothered me so much about this scene. Is like, of all the guys that potentially fuck over, Colin really, really, really cared. So it just made me sad for both of them, because at the same time, obviously, again, Marina, in the era she's in, being pregnant, I also was like, what are we going to do with you, babe? I don't know what we're going to do with you.
Yes, exactly. The Queen's Luncheon. The it couple of the ton have arrived, and they have changed the conversation. Everyone's interested in what they're doing. More in particular, they're interested in when they're going to be having these babies. And that is obviously a sore spot for the couple. But because they're good at ruses, they play along very well. At the Queen's Luncheon, Lady Danbury is there, and she invites Daphne to a ladies' soiree. Apparently, this is where the married women of the time have a night out just because they can. The Featheringtons are officially disgraced. Lady Featherington had the audacity to throw Marina under the bus and said she had no idea. And Mama Bridgerton was not having it at all.
At all.
And Eloise is not impressed with Lady Whistledown for what she did to her best friend's family. And Penelope mentioned, she's like, I thought you were Lady Whistledown's biggest admirer. And she was like, no, when you throwing dirt on my friends' names.
Mm-hmm. The Featheringtons get kicked out of this whole soiree.
They get kicked out, Ashley. Daphne has a moment with her mom, and she pretty much says, how dare you, Mom? And honestly, she had a great line that I enjoyed. She talked about, you know, you raised me to pretend, but you didn't even teach me about the mechanics of a marriage. It was like,
me nothing, boo. You didn't teach me nothing.
She's like, you did not prepare me for the real world. Mm-hmm. That was tough.
Mm-hmm. But it was honest and it was real, and I appreciated it as much as I do really enjoy Lady Bridgerton, the head of the house of the Bridgerton household.
I do too. She's a sweet lady,
so sincere.
Yes,
but absolutely, sometimes you need to have these heart to hearts with your mother about reality. Mm-hmm. And Mom, you did not prepare me to be married to this mom. Okay.
Period.
And I'm suffering the consequences.
Right. She can't look her husband in the freaking eye. Also, and
she missing that D. Let's be clear. You know she missing the D right now.
So Daphne, being the woman of the world now, since she's had that D, she offers to help Marina. She's pretty much saying, girl, I see you. Let me, let's figure some things out.
I put in my notes on this scene, it's a way for her to find some power in her own situation because she's feeling quite powerless.
She is, but guess what she got, though? She got that title. She's willing to use it. So,
and she got that mouth because Daphne know how to talk. So
she does. She does. And then we have a quick scene where Lord Featherington learns about Will's expedition, and he has the audacity to show up to Will's house and be like, and come up with a dark scheme for fast money. What is the true price of honor, Ashley?
This scene, I hated so much. It was so triggering for me. The fact that Featherington throws out information about Will's family, trying to use that to manipulate him. Like, it was so upsetting on like a very visceral level for me. And I think it was especially because of the racial dynamics that bothered me so deeply.
That's the one thing about quote unquote colorblind casting. You still have to factor that in sometimes with how people are. Because I've actually heard some critiques of the show that, we're the dark skinned people, right? And then why isn't a Black woman being loved in this show? And
I mean, Will's wife.
Yes, exactly. But she's not, a Hershey's kiss, so to speak, or whatever.
Understood.
People are wondering,
why was there not a brown-skinned Black woman?
Exactly. Someone like a Lady Danbury.
Exactly, because you don't hear anything about Lady Danbury's love life. She's a widow. I'm hoping they can delve more into in season 2, by the way.
She can have a side piece, a servant. She can have all sorts
of things. She is fierce. She can have all sorts of things.
And I know she knows her body and what she likes. And that is empowering to see just as well.
She probably at her sexual peak. Let's be clear.
Touche. This is what happens with two girlfriends talk, okay?
Yes. But again, to answer your question, this scene bothered me on a very deep level. It's probably my least favorite scene in the entire series. And I found it very upsetting.
I hear you. I agree. Well, at the ladies' soiree, Daphne is making a splash, which, again, her mom did prepare her for her high society life, of course. Mm-hmm. And she meets Kitty, who's the general's wife. And she pretty much asked her if she could reach out to her husband because she's looking for a soldier. A soldier. I had to do it. Simon is at the gentleman club and he sees Anthony and they have a back and forth. Like their friendship is still on the mend since the duel thing. And Simon's obviously not happy because his marriage with Daphne is in flames. And Anthony knows his sister and he's like, you're the one that effed this up. So
yes, he was so real. Anthony was so real. My sister would not have fucked this up like this. Like, what has happened?
He's like, as severely. And then they take shots at each other. Simon has the audacity to say, your father, you were barely around your father, so you don't even know what it looks like to manage a household. And Simon's like, well, you make it look awfully difficult. I wonder what your daddy would have to say about it if he were here today.
Girl. Yo, this scene was so real to me because I'm like, those are the cuts that only your best friends can hit you with.
Below the belt. Below the belt.
And I wrote down, though, what exactly was the point? Why did y'all go so hard?
Because they talking about each other's daddies. And because they don't have therapy in 1813.
Exactly.
They obviously resort to throwing those hands. Okay.
Simon got cuts of glass in his face. Come on, you ain't gotta fuck with the face of all the things.
The face.
Don't mess with Simon's face.
But again, because they are emotionally effed up, he got a kick out of it at the end.
Oh yeah, he was smirking.
So
but to me that was equivalent of like, I'm in emotional pain, so I want to also be in physical pain. You know what I mean? Like somebody who cuts themselves.
That's the only outlet. I mean, he boxes, obviously. That's why he,
tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Full circle.
A lie don't ever be spoken from you, does it?
God bless you, friend. God bless you. So Daphne helps Simon at home with his busted eye. And, she's had a good time. So she's a little tipsy, okay? And again, she brings up taking care of her siblings and she brings up a child would be a blessing. And I'm like, girl, this is not the time nor the place, okay? And then this is my real question here, okay?
Okay.
What are their signs? Because they are some of the stubborn people I've ever seen.
They're both towards the bulls. No offense, Mom. No offense, Mom. Yeah. I think though, I appreciated this conversation just because of what we got from it, which was him finally telling Daphne the truth, right? Go ahead.
Finally, yes. He told her about his vow that he gave to his dying father. Mm-hmm. And she still can't understand why he would choose a revenge vow over the vow of love that he made to her. But yeah, like I mentioned it from the first episode, you know, when he made that vow, men at that time, word was your bond, word was everything. And he was very resolute in that. Mm-hmm. And so, but I do understand her because she's like, you choose revenge over love, and he's like, I can't break it. And she's like, well, you betrayed me in our marriage bed.
Yeah.
And he's like, it cannot be undone. So which vow did he break?
Exactly.
And then in this episode, she writes to the general, and Lady Whistledown writes about the goings on of the town, but she did not bring up the Queen's luncheon, and the Queen feels snubbed.
Because again, there's one person who I know to be Whistledown, so it makes complete sense.
Because somebody wasn't there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then there was the opera, Ashley, where the Queen dismissed Eloise and her theories of Lady Whistledown because she got her own people, which to me, wouldn't you have gotten your own people to begin with and not depend on a teenage girl from a likable family?
I feel like what happened was, if she was only mildly thrilled or excited about the possibility of uncovering Whistledown until she felt Whistledown snubbed her. Once she felt Whistledown snubbed her by not speaking about her luncheon, she said, oh no, it's balls to the wall now. I'm about to find this bitch and I'm about to put her to rest. R.I.P. to Lady Whistledown is what the Queen had in her. You already saw how hard she went against the marriage of Simon and Daphne for a minute. I mean, she was about to say, this is not happening.
Requests and everything. That's
the way that she moves is evident that she does not suffer a fool. She's not going to play with you. If you cross her,
she does not have time.
No time. If you cross her, we got a problem. So I think that's why she took it to the next level.
Really quick, Daphne did inform Marina that she wrote to the general, but she only put her name on it. And Marina's like, do you not know anything about the world, girl? Why didn't you put your husband's name on that letter too?
Yeah.
And because of that hopelessness, she made herself a tea in order to get rid of her pregnancy.
Well, if I'm honest, when I saw this in this scene, I thought she was trying to kill herself. That's what I thought she was trying to do.
Yes. But I mean, still the same goal.
Absolutely. But when I first saw this, I was like, oh, she's trying to kill herself. That's the level she's been pushed to now. She wants to die. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, that's so unfortunate. Because again, it speaks to her limited options in her mind, in her desperation.
And speaking of babies, Daphne herself is not pregnant.
The pain, not usually. Sometimes it's the opposite, where women are sad when that period does not come, such as Marina.
Yes.
So Daphne's pain to get her period was palpable. Yes. Palpable. And
now here's my question. Do you think he heard her from the bathroom?
I don't think he heard her, but I think supposedly their connection was that he felt it. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes
she was gone too long, so something must have happened.
Well, not even just that. You know how they say, like, certain people have such a connection that you can feel things when the other person feels things. Not necessarily like twins or anything like that.
It's like intuitive.
I think it was supposed to be more intuition of like, he felt that pain. He felt that she was somehow in pain. So you see the pain on his face or the discomfort in his face to end that episode. So that's how I saw it. That's how I took it.
The director definitely wanted you to feel it because they ended the show with her crying in her mom's arms.
Oh, it was intense. I felt the pain. I was like, that is so sad. Yes. And she thinks this is the only chance she's gonna have a baby because Simon basically told her, honey, you know what? If you pregnant, cool, I'm gonna figure it out. But if you not, we going our separate ways.
Right. And at this point, she doesn't feel like there's any option. And starting episode 8, After the Rain, the Duke and Duchess season-ending ball signals a turning point for their marriage and ushers in changes of fortune and fate to those around them. Ashley, even though they had agreed that if she is not pregnant, they will only be married on paper, but he will not darken her doorstep anymore, and they will be oceans apart. In their portrait painting, the great artist Gainesville felt the tension when he was painting. He was like, "This isn't working." He's like, "I need for you to at least put your hand on her shoulder." I guess that energy did something, because they looked into each other's eyes, and the artist himself said, "This is a true love's match."
Yeah, he said the picture of devotion.
Oh, beautiful.
It was still there. The love never died.
It never died. It was just their poor communication that was messing everything up. Daphne is talking to her mom about how her and Simon are going their separate ways. Her mom is really trying to talk her out of it. Like, honey, there are things that goes on in marriage. You just got to let time or communication work its way out. They bump into the Featheringtons. Mama Bridgerton is still not having it with Lady Featherington. But, Lady Featherington indirectly asked Daphne, can she come to the ball? Because her daughters were distraught. And of course, Daphne, as a way to spite her mother, invited Lady Bridgerton by saying,
is that how you took it?
I did because she was trying to teach her a lesson with, like, sometimes some people have to come around or this, that, and the other. And she's like, well, you could come around with the Featheringtons with how they did your son.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's a guest at the Featherington house, and it's Mr. Crane. And as an audience member, you're like, is this Sir George, Marina's great love? And unfortunately, it's not, Ashley.
No, it's his brother.
It's his brother.
Philip.
He informed her and the Featheringtons that he died in war.
So sad.
And that he didn't, I'm going to go ahead and talk about her. He didn't reject her. He actually loved her. And again, she's such a great actress as well. She was like, he really loved me. He really, really loved me. And that was such a beautiful thing. But I was so happy that Daphne's letter was not done in vain.
Right. Because this is all thanks to Daphne having reached out. Otherwise, he would have never known that this situation was going on or that Marina even existed.
Exactly. Eloise confronts Madame Delacroix because she suspects that she's little Lady Whistledown. And their interaction was kind of secondhand embarrassing for me, because I'm just like, what if this woman is not her and she's looking like a straight fool?
She was not my guess at this point. So I definitely at this moment felt Eloise is barking up the wrong tree.
Yes. But that lady really took her time in that conversation. So
because she had her own motives, which was Benedict is hiding in the back. Yeah,
exactly.
Getting they swerve on.
I think Daphne's conversation with her mom did something for her, because she started actually asking questions about her husband. One important question being, what did your father do? Mm-hmm. And of course, meaning, what did his father do that would make him make such an awful vow, right? And of course, he doesn't want to answer that question. In the series, we go to the boxing expedition, and Lord Featherington makes a wager against Will. He thinks he's against Will, because he wants the other guy to win. And he makes a deal with some really shady men. Ashley, and Antony meets up with his opera boo. They reconnect, even though she's there with a whole entire man.
Yep. She had left town and comes back with a new boo.
So, back at the Featheringtons' house, Mr. Crane proposes to Marina because he knows that she is with child, and he wants to honor his brother to make sure that the woman that he loved and his child made out of love is taken care of. She turns him down. She figures no baby,
No problem.
No rush to get married. Man, she didn't know anything about this man she married. And I'm talking about Daphne, because she finds the letters, the unread letters that Simon wrote to his father. And she's able to gain some insight of a pain of such a young man, to be completely rejected by your father because of your quote unquote impediment.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, who walks through the door? Lady Danbury, who provides even more color to Daphne on the old Duke's being so demanding about perfection, and how the Duke was so proud of his progress, but he was never lived up to his father's vision. And she was very adamant about saying Simon's triumph is his and his alone, and it had to be. And I think that was a signal to Daphne that says, you know, he's going to have to make up his own mind. And this is true for real life relationships as well, especially with men. They got to make up their own mind. You can't. That's what's unhealthy about these stories too, really quick. Romance stories written by women for women. Okay. Hence the "you complete me" speeches throughout this whole series. Okay. But
Jerry Maguire, for anyone who is not aware of what she is referencing. Jerry Maguire.
But it's always this brooding, damaged man, truly successful, and you're some meek girl, but then you connect, and then he softens his heart and opens up with vulnerability, and you find your voice. It's the same story over and over and over again.
This is a conversation that we don't have time to delve too deeply into.
I know.
But yes, it does. Yes, for all the women out there that, you know, we get wrapped into the Disney fairy tales and into the "you can change a man" storylines. Yes, it is unhealthy.
Very unhealthy. And one of the things I failed to mention about the boxing expedition, Will loses.
He throws the fight.
He throws the fight. Simon confronts Will about his performance, and Will essentially tells him that you're misdirecting your anger, sir.
But he also tells him, you don't understand that my honor is less important to me than my family. I did this for a reason. I felt that was profound, especially in his relationship with Simon, because of Simon's stance on not having children. You don't understand the responsibilities that I bear.
That's a good point, Ashley. After Will's loss, Lord Featherington goes home to Lady Featherington and show her all the money. They are back in business. They can buy those brand new dresses for the Hastings ball. So one of the things that I also noticed about Daphne after reading those unread letters from Simon to his father, her tone towards him was much softer. She invites him to come over to her family's home because Francesca is back home from the summer retreat or whatever, from playing the piano. He's really great with the kids. Not surprising. And then Benedict tells Anthony that he has a relationship with Maldice, and Anthony takes it without breaking a sweat. So that'll be more interesting going into season 2. All right. Daphne does the thing that annoys me the most again. We're at the Hastings ball. She tells Simon that he did a great job with her siblings. And she said, "You did so well. We could have a baby too." And I'm like, girl, no, just leave him alone with this baby stuff. They have a glimmer of hope because their banter is back, and they discuss how many dances they're going to dance at their own ball now as host and hostess. Lord Featherington, really quick, shows up at a brothel, and he's there, and he's greeted by the 2 shady men that he met at the boxing expedition. And this is really important because they have poison in hand. Thought that was very interesting. So at the ball, Speaking of Featheringtons, Penelope is ready to declare her love to Colin finally. And they have a moment where they go, you go first. No, you go first. So he goes first and tells her that he's going to travel the world, because in her efforts to get him off of Marina, she's like, didn't you want to see the world? Didn't you want to do so much more? Why get married now? And she was going to tell him how she felt, and that didn't happen. She just let him go. I think if she was mature enough, she should have just told him right then and there, because who's to say she was going to have another opportunity to do so?
Yeah, it's also difficult in that moment, possibly for her, because she may have also been thinking, well, if I tell him now, maybe I'm holding him back from something. But yeah, absolutely. From her perspective, seize the moment.
Yes, the queen is no longer in need of Eloise's help to finding Lady Whistledown. She doesn't even request. She's not even able to get an audience with Queen, I think, at this point anymore. And it's her right-hand man that tells her all the 411 that they were going to catch the lady that very night. And Eloise is panicked, and she runs to that exact location to warn Lady Whistledown. Well, she was able to save the Lady Whistledown from being exposed, but she herself did not see her. So that's important to note. Antony and the opera singer, she essentially told him, boy, bye. I'm tired of your mess. This guy is more reliable than you have ever been, and it's time for you to move on.
Finally. I loved this scene in particular because the Antony Sienna back and forth bothered me. She said, you are lost and I cannot allow you to set me adrift as well. You need to let me go.
Wow. It was almost like an obsession with her, kind of like knowing that he could never have her, but he still wanted her. And that was just so selfish.
Yeah, it was unfair. And I agree with her when she said, like, no one else is ever going to look out for me but me. I'm aware of this and I need to do what is in my best interest. I have a man who loves me, or at least cares about me for exactly who I am. And that's what I need. So please leave. I'm over it.
Back at the Hastings ball, Lady Danbury approaches Simon and tells him that she knows his plan of leaving Daphne. And he's like, how do you know these things? And she was like, I know all. The Duke and Daphne finally dance together, and then it starts to rain. And, you know, it's very sweet because he apologizes to her and say, you know, I'm so sorry for the rain. And she's like, why? You can't control that. And Ashley, she has her "you complete me" speech to Simon. Now,
just because something is not perfect doesn't make it any less worthy of love.
I am tired of pretending, and I cannot continue acting as if I do not love you. Even the parts that you believe are too dark or too shameful, every scar, every flaw, every imperfection. They
can write a show, can't they? They can write a show.
Just let that breathe. And you know what I loved most about this interaction, Ashley, is that he didn't say anything. He just took it. And I thought that was important. It's okay to let somebody love you and just accept it and just let it marinate. Let it marinate.
I think it was also profound. I mean, it was a moment that did not need a conversation because it was something that he had never really heard from somebody that he also cared about up until this point.
Yes. After the ball, the Featheringtons make it home and they find out the tragic news that their father, Lord Featherington, is dead.
Yeah. Murdered. That
That was rough, Ashley.
I mean, the signs were there, obviously,
yes,
given his bet and given the shadiness of the people he did the bet with. But can I
the
be
level
honest?
Of debt.
Until
yes.
my second viewing, I didn't even remember this. When I watched it the second time, I was like, "Oh,
yo, really?
I did not remember." I must have blocked it out. I was like, I don't even remember this moment. So yeah, huge though, because again, as we've talked about the dynamic between the two main families, this is the other main family. So it is huge that they're the matriarch or the patriarch, not the matriarch, has been murdered.
Yes.
And what is Lady Featherington gonna do now? The money is gone.
The money is gone. And I'll go ahead and bring it up now. In these times, women did not own land. So it went to someone else. And the last bit of information we get from the Featherington family as a whole is she's given the name of the man who now owns this estate. And of course, we don't know because that's for season 2.
Uh-huh.
So Simon and Daphne reconcile with each other and they are able to connect in a deeper level without any restraints or boundaries. I put in my notes, they made love without boundaries.
I had escape. What I need from you is understanding. That was what was going through my mind. Like, as long as there can be compassion for someone else's life and what someone else has been through, I feel like that was the bonding element. Is, Daphne's no longer holding against Simon what she did not fully understand. All that he needed truly was understanding.
Yes, and acceptance.
Exactly.
Like he had never had anyone say that I love you completely, flaws and all.
Mm-hmm. Beyonce, I'm a train wreck in the morning.
You knew exactly where I was going with that, friend. You knew exactly where I was going.
All the songs.
Okay, so we find out that Marina is actually still pregnant. The tea did not work. And because of that...
That's not funny. I'm laughing because of the doctor. The doctor's like, y'all be thinking this is going to work. It never works. Never
like,
works,
y'all
ma'am.
Basic. Y'all so basic.
A tea? Come on, stop.
And she called up Mr. Crane again, and she accepted his proposal. Mm-hmm. And what was interesting was she did have a one-on-one with Lady Featherington and said, how do you have a marriage without love? And it was actually one of the most profound moments for Lady Featherington. And she said, you fall in love with the small moments, and those accumulate over time.
Mm-hmm.
All the Bridgertons come together and they bid farewell to Colin on his adventure. And in this time, I want to mention 2 things. Anthony mentions that he's made up his mind and he is ready to find his Viscountess. And he just says, all I need to do is omit love. Sir, what? Get over yourself, please. Please.
It was actually kind of sad. It was actually the first time probably in all of season 1 that I felt some level of sympathy for Anthony, because again, it's so easy to paint Anthony as this fuckboy, little immature, villainous person, but he's still a human being. And the level of responsibility that he had, I can imagine, weighed on his shoulders. So now the idea of him thinking, well, I'm just going to resolve to enter into potentially a loveless marriage, it is sad. And I'm assuming season 2 is going to focus on him, because you mentioned the books focus on each of the children.
Yeah.
So
although I'm going to need some more Simon.
Absolutely. Because
consequences, repercussions if Simon ain't in season 2, okay?
I say I have sympathy for Anthony, but let's be clear, I don't like that dude for real. So I'm not excited. Sorry for the fans
real
out
talk,
there that man. But I was not a fan.
I have a side note, and then I'm almost done with this recap. Someone made an excellent point. They were like, Simon was so charismatic in this season. He kind of outshined the Bridgerton boys by a lot. So
absolutely,
they got some big shoes to fill.
He absolutely did. There's no kinda. He absolutely
I'm trying
to
be nice here, Ashley.
Let's be clear. I already said in part 1, Black folks came on the scene and took that shit over. That is Full facts. Full facts.
I love you. Oh my
God. The most interesting characters in this show: Simon, Lady Danbury, the Queen. Let's be clear.
Marina.
Let's be clear. Again, Daphne, like you, respect you, appreciate you.
Mama Bridgerton, like
Mama
her.
Bridgerton, do your thing. But for sure, if Simon and Daphne are not still a focal point of season 2, then my interest will wane. So, but continue on with the end of the recap, darling.
Thank you. Okay. And last thing, this is just something I noticed. The Duke's clothing got tremendously lighter at the end of this episode. Before, he would wear a lot of, very deep, vibrant colors, reds and purples and blacks and things. But here he was wearing the Bridgerton's light pastel blue and gold. I was like, okay, he is now officially part of this family.
Or a weight has been lifted, one or the other.
That too. And then another fun note, there's a brooch he wears on his collar. The costume lady mentioned, the head of costume mentioned that it's something they put there to symbolize as his mother. It was his mother's brooch. They never explicitly say it on the show, but it is there on him throughout the whole series, a green brooch on his lapel or something. Yeah. All right. So Lady Whistledown is revealed, Ashley. Mm-hmm. It is none other than the puppy dog sick Penelope, who put her cousin on blast. Okay. When she put that girl on blast, I was like, this was too personal. I knew it had to have been a person, a part of high society. I didn't think it was obviously the staff. And I didn't think it was the Modis, although she was a good guess. Good guess. Exactly.
Yeah. I knew it was Penelope as soon as the information was released about Marina's pregnancy. I said, oh, it has to be you, because there's nobody else that I can think of that knew that information, would have leaked that information to Lady Whistledown. It was so within that household, and it felt so like the last straw for somebody.
Vengeful.
Yeah. And that's when I knew it was Penelope. So.
And two things, surprising. After rewatching it, she was the first person that Simon and Daphne saw from in episode 1 when they left the garden. Mm-hmm. And when Eloise was going through her brainstorming, it was a level of giddiness with Penelope when she was like, oh, who else do you think it is? Kind of like, I know something you don't know. Mm-hmm. We get a flash forward, Ashley, which I absolutely love. And Daphne is having the baby she always wanted, Ashley. Yes. And the way she was pushing that baby out, I wanted to ask her, is this what you really wanted, girl? Is this it?
I think the answer is absolutely unequivocally yes. I'm just like, y'all better not have Daphne die in childbirth. I'm going to be very upset. Because can I be honest, I was so worried about so many of them health-wise throughout the series because of the era they're living in. It was a constant concern for me. Like when Daphne and Simon had their time where they ran out in the rain and had sex, I'm like, but hold up, are y'all gonna catch a cold, pneumonia, somebody gonna die? Like, don't play. So
And again, Simon says some of the most endearing things. And so Daphne says, we should think of a name. And he said,
has to start with an A.
I think it has to start with an A. We have to keep family traditions, don't we? And that's how we end season 1 of Bridgerton. We also see that B again, the B. Yes. That's going to be foreshadowing in future seasons. And super excited, Ashley.
I had also noticed a B etched into the collar of Anthony at one point. Yes. That I hadn't caught the first go around. So all those B references, I definitely caught. But I mean, I'm glad that it was resolved where hopefully they're both happy. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do with season 2.
All right, Ashley. And that is Bridgerton. There's a possibility that there could be up to 8 seasons.
Lord Jesus, all these children.
All these children. But this one, they did an excellent job. So, Ashley, Are you ready for Hidden Gems?
I am. I'm excited.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so my Hidden Gems this week. The High Note on HBO Max, also HBO, starring the Tracee Ellis Ross and Dakota Johnson. I have now watched this film twice because of how much I enjoyed it.
Yes. I saw it too, also.
Nice. So we have to talk about it later. So I enjoyed it so much from the perspective of obviously hearing that Tracee Ellis Ross took this movie so seriously because it was her first chance ever singing. It had been a fear of hers that she wanted to overcome, being the daughter of Diana Ross. So I already went into it excited about that aspect.
Huge shoes. I kind of get it.
Enormous. And just the emotional situation she had when she went for the first time and sat in the car with her mother to play her these songs. I mean, just all of that going into it, I was excited. But as a whole, I enjoyed it. I can say I wish they would have focused a little bit more on Tracee than on Dakota's character.
Yes, I was actually quite surprised by that, actually. I was like, so who's the star? But exactly. If you think about it, Dakota's technically the movie star, quote unquote.
And that is true. But because I love Tracee Ellis Ross, she is the star for me. And her comedic timing, her abilities throughout the whole film shined as usual. And I loved it. I also love the character who played the quote unquote love interest in the film, his voice. I loved. He did such an impeccable job for the first role I've really ever seen him in. I'm sure he's been in other things.
I've never seen him before.
I think he's been in a couple other things, and I was looking him up while I was watching. So, at High Note, HBO Max, guys, check that out. Jazmine Sullivan throwing down on this new album, Hotels, and that tiny desk that just gave me my whole life. I've watched it probably 4 times at this point. Both dropped last Friday, the 8th. My favorite tracks, Delora. Girl Like Me featuring her. You already know. Last track on the album, track 14.
Yes.
I've listened to it multiple times every day since the album dropped.
I mean, in your Pick Up Your Feelings lives rent free in my head.
Let's just say Delora was listening to that to start the podcast. We just didn't play it for y'all, but that was on Delora's radio to start the show. My other favorite tracks though are Lost One, which I know I believe was her first single from this album, and then On It feature Ari Lennox, Come Through, track 6.
First of all, I made the mistake of listening to this because this is a mixtape, it's not an album. She said this. Okay,
interesting.
I remember starting listening to this mixtape, and I heard that song with Ari, and I'm just like, I guess Jazmine's trying to let us know that she's a woman, huh?
She's grown.
Grown. Yeah. And then when I looked at the title, I was like, Hotels, of course.
Yes, of course. All the hotels in quotes are sprinkled throughout. So it's really only, I believe, 8 tracks. And I had not heard she was calling it a mixtape. I thought it was a album she was considering to be released. But in general, loved it. Jazmine has not dropped anything in a very long time. Hardcore Jazmine fans, I know y'all have already listened to this. This is not a hidden gem for y'all. But for anybody who has not yet discovered the brilliance and the beautiful voice of Jazmine Sullivan, you better get hip.
Amazing.
My last hidden gem, this Tiger Woods documentary that I didn't even know I cared about until HBO Max dropped it. I
knew I would enjoy it. And now that you've mentioned it, I'm like, I'm going to have to watch it now.
Yeah. So part 1 was dropped this past Sunday, and then part 2 is going to get dropped this coming Sunday, guys, at 9 p.m., I believe. So Tiger Woods, as we all know, was legend, huge, biggest athlete at one point in time. I had forgotten the mania around Tiger until I rewatched this. This man had a camera in his face since he was a baby. The way that Earl Woods talked about his son was some Kanye West-ish. He was saying that Tiger was going to be bigger than Gandhi.
Wait. Think about this. All great parents of great athletes, Serena Venus daddy.
Yeah.
Tiger, Ball. the balls.
He definitely reminded me of the balls father when I was watching. So I was like, oh, that's the level you was on. I didn't even remember this, Earl, because I was too young to be paying attention to all of this that you were saying at the time, obviously. But they speak so much about that relationship between Tiger and his father. A lot of information I was unaware of just in his family
father
dynamics.
Still alive?
No, his father passed away. Mm-hmm. So all of those dynamics are on display, especially, the young, impressionable era of Tiger's life that I didn't know too much about. And in part 2, I think is going to get more into the scandal. So I enjoyed part 1. I'm definitely going to be tuning into part 2. If you're a sports fan or you just have an interest, I definitely recommend checking it out on HBO Max. Those are my hidden gems.
I have 2 hidden gems today. So my first is, so they're both on Instagram, okay? The first is AOC's live that she's now posted on her Instagram from January 13th. In this live, she talks about what happened at the Capitol a week prior. She talks about how it was a traumatizing event, that her life was on the line. She didn't go into great detail because she was concerned for security reasons. But what she had to say was, it was just very insightful, especially for someone who lived it. One of the things that she said that was really heart-wrenching for me was that she didn't feel safe on a multiple of fronts. She didn't feel safe with her fellow Congress people who didn't want to wear masks. She also felt like some of her Congress people would even rat her out to the, what is it, insurgents or something? I don't know.
Domestic terrorists.
Domestic terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. Do I agree on all of her political philosophies? No, but I do admire her for, she just does a really good job being so eloquent and just rising to the occasion of her job as a congresswoman. And it's about 60 minutes, but I think it's worth the watch. She was one of the first people to really talk about her account on that day of January 6th. The second Instagram post I am speaking of for my hidden gem is from Leon Talley. So if you're living under a rock, Madam Vice President,
or you're not on social media,
that too,
that can be a part of it.
Madam Vice President Kamala Harris is on the cover of Vogue, and the print cover has much to be desired. And I have my opinions about it. I prefer the second digital cover.
Same.
I feel like it was a missed opportunity. I have since learned that there was indeed a Black photographer, Tyler, the one who shot Beyonce. He was the first Black photographer to ever get a Vogue cover. He shot this particular cover. It's just, again, and there was a Black editor, but it just seemed like the ball was dropped. Okay.
And you're bringing this up because one of the main criticisms is that Anna Wintour supposedly does not care about Black women when they are photographed for the cover of Vogue.
Exactly. Thank you, Ashley. And so I went directly to Leon Talley's Instagram to see what he had to say, because I hate to say it like this, but he was the resident Black for many years at Condé Nast, specifically at Vogue. And he has also been very vocal about Anna Wintour and her cruelty in some ways.
The devil wears Prada.
So I was surprised to see that he had a lot of positive things to say. Some of the things he mentioned was, he loved the Converse because, since we're in a pandemic, not everyone's wearing stilettos. He loves the homage to, the AKA sorority that she's a part of. And he loved that, she's wearing the suit that she always wears. But for specifically Black women, whenever there's a Black woman on the cover of Vogue, I don't care if she's a politician or not. You want the best foot to go forward. You don't want, oh, well, she's approachable, that's their thing or whatever. No, this is Vogue. This is Vogue. So yeah. I was surprised by his response. Go ahead, head to his Instagram. He has a whole spiel on it. And those are my hidden gems this week.
Thank you. And I think I mentioned to you too when we were talking about this, that just another part of it for me in terms of the scandal of it or the discussion of it is, I think I'm so worried about her life right now that this pales in comparison.
Yes.
So I think that is the major thing for me with like, at this moment, am I giving it some of the thought that I think a lot of other people are when it comes to the criticism? I can understand it, but it's like, I'm worried about what may happen tomorrow or next week versus how she looks on a cover of a magazine. I am
interested on what the end of this month is going to look like, right?
Yeah.
Because I've never been so nervous about an inauguration day in my entire life. And that is so messed up. We are Americans, okay?
Well, I mean, that's real. I remember being very nervous during Barack Obama's inauguration and feeling that someone may try to harm him.
Something might happen.
Absolutely. But this definitely feels much more palpable. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who feel the same based on the fact that we are physically seeing what is happening, and that it's not just the idea that is marinating out there. There is a real threat. There's an imminent threat to safety. And people are taking it to just another level. So that's one of the reasons why with this, like, I don't think I'm giving as much weight as some other people are right now. Because I'm like, protect her life at all costs.
Period. Period. But I just feel like if you want to take your mind off of the serious stuff, this should have been another flower in the cap, but the ball was dropped.
Absolutely. And again, these are things that we talk about. This is why we have our show, is to help with the levity of the moment. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And to your point, when it is looked back on after the seriousness of what's going on right now, I will understand much more probably if there's continued criticism or if people feel her next cover, because I'm sure she will have another cover.
I'm waiting for that Essence cover to drop whenever that happens.
Yeah, will be everything. But thank you for your hidden gems, Laura.
Thank you, Ashley.
Another week in the books, kids.
Episode 13.
Yes. Find us on all the things. Hopefully everybody who's listening to us regularly has found us on Instagram at Recapping Podcast, on Facebook, on Twitter. We have our Gmail if you want to send us a note with some feedback or some information, recappingpodcast@gmail.com. Delora has asked, and we've asked previously, please send us some thoughts. Please send us your grades.
What are your grades?
Fantastic shows that we're watching. We want to hear from you. Don't be shy.
And we will post them.
Yes, and we will also talk about it. If you don't have Instagram or social media, because Mom, I know you don't, go ahead and send us something via Gmail, or Mom,
light
you can
signals,
text me anytime.
Morse codes.
We're the
things. We're open.
Guys, thank you so much for sticking with us for another week. We look forward to talking to you next week. We are going to be doing Cobra Kai. We're going to have 2 parts.
Yes.
Next week, we're doing seasons 1 and 2. So please, if you have not already binged 1 and 2 on Netflix, please be sure to do so. And we look forward to talking to you then. Delora, I love you to death. It's been fun. It's
love
been
you too,
real.
Girl. So much fun.
Things.
I want to Bye.
Bye.